All right, today we're gonna install a ramp transition flap. Key things that you wanna make sure that we do. You always wanna block and chock the wheel, have the rear stabilizer jacks down and in the locked position. Some of the hardware that we're gonna use for this is the 3/4 inch number 3 ramp screw. We're also going to use the 1 3/4 inch floor Phillips reamer. The bits for this, you're going to need number 3 square Roberts and a number 3 Phillips that we have on the gun. Okay, starting out, we're going to start out with the 1 3/4 floor screws. We're going to get 3 of those. They're going to go on the outside edges and 1 in the middle. Now, the key to these transition flaps is the hinge side of this goes on the ramp. Okay, now you're going to notice here the roll. This roll, I want the roll of the hinge on the ramp and the groove on the top, so that way when the ramp folds closed, the transition at the end of the ramp is nice and smooth. So what we have here is we have a 6x10. Our customer plans on hauling a small golf cart, so we have our transition flaps spread apart. Now, if a customer wants these closer for hauling dollies, that's perfectly fine. We just have to slide those in. Key thing that you want to remember is you always want to leave yourself a good 1/2 inch gap between transition flaps, because this cut edge may not be the same as this edge and you don't want any issues with them folding over. So right now we have them positioned into place. The roll is on the ramp side of the hinge. We're going to grab our 1 3/4 and we're going to kind of angle this towards the ramp. We want this to go into the stud. Good, okay? And you're going to notice that roll stayed right there on the ramp. We're going to make sure that this one does the same thing. We're going to drop that screw. This is 1 3/4. It goes through the wood into the steel stud. Now, some of these transition flaps, you're going to notice high, low on screws. It depends on the vendor of the ramp. If the screw lines are in a row, then we can continue to use the Phillips 1 3/4 to screw this down. If you have a hinge that has the staggered holes, all your low end holes, you have to use the ramp screw. So for that demonstration, we're going to show installing the ramp screws in the fields. Number 3 Roberts bit, we're going to switch it over. You do not want to use the regular 3/4 wood screw. You want to make sure you use the number 3 ramp screw. Coarser thread and helps bite into the wood. Okay, now that we have that, we're going to go to our other ramp and we're going to install that one. We're going to flip the bits back over to go to the 1 1/4. So we're going to use the number 3 Phillips. We have the ramp in line to clear our surface mount. Roll end is on the edge. We're going to use the 1 3/4. Screw it down. Get that up perfect right there. One in the middle. And we'll switch over to the number 3 Roberts. The reason why we want those 1 3/4 is we want this hinge to be screwed into the steel structure. If you strictly use the wood screw, it's only into the wood. All right, so from here, that's the install. Pretty quick, simple. Ramp will fold up and you'll notice this edge right here stays smooth with the end of the ramp, okay? Now these are intended to slide themselves and fold up when the ramp goes in the up position. Let me move these screws out of the way real quick. Billy, for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna come over here if you wanna pick up on the ramp. And you see that those transitions will actually slide into place Once the ramp's in the up position, we'll lock it. I'll kind of give you a visual on the inside. One of the simplest, quickest, easy installs. As you can see there, we just did a full trailer through production. It took 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and open this ramp, Billy, so we can show how they fold down on their own. They fold down just like so, and that's pretty much a transition flap. And now I'll show you the demonstration of it folding up from the inside of the trailer. They simply slide across the floor, they hit the hinge, they kick up and fold up on their own. That concludes the transition flap install. A couple reminders: the hinge, it goes on the ramp, not on the trailer floor. It goes on the ramp. You always want the roll edge flush with the edge of the wood trim on the ramp, and you always want to use the 1 3/4 wood screw. If you use anything bigger than 1 3/4 wood screw, it will protrude through the exterior of the trailer. That concludes the install.